You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
Everyone, if I'm thinking that right.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to think.
Oh yeah. Whatever I need to think. Oh my goodness. So today, actually, we're going to talk about the different things, the different collectors and collections that we have encountered. We're not going to. Normally, we focus on a particular piece or a particular era, or like types of furniture or types of tools and material and things like that. But we've met a lot of really interesting people, and we've seen a lot of really cool things that people collect and that people do, and how they acquire those collections, and so on and so forth. So today we're kind of going to go through.
Do people get to like message on this podcast thing?
Yeah, people can. Comment.
Okay, well, send us message Aram. And tell them about all your fun collections. If you've got like a really unique collection, message him.
Yeah.
And if you, I don't know, is it like text where you can do a picture? Make him a picture and send the picture. I would love to see that.
That would be super cool. Yeah.
That
so
really
if you guys want to go to our website, which is www.simplecast/hipandhumble. Or simplecast.com/hipandhumble, excuse me. You guys can make comments, and you guys can also submit your pictures and so on and so forth. And you can also go on our Patreon, which is patreon.com/hipandhumble as well. And you can submit your collections or your pictures of your collections and things like that on there, which would be super cool. And while you're there, if you want to, you could pledge to donate. If you felt like it. If you feel like you want to hear some more from us.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That will work.
That would do it.
I would really, honestly, I'd really like to see what other collections, because there's always something that we have not come across.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that's the nice thing with antiques and kind of in this whole little world is you just never know what you're going to come across or who you get to meet.
Oh, yeah.
Or any of that.
It's like an adventure every time, really.
It is. It's always an adventure.
Yeah.
So, what is the most unique thing that you have seen someone collect?
Let's think. I don't want to say, because I've seen some really cool stamp collections and coin collections, but I don't want to say that because that's not unique.
Well, no.
It is unique, but it's not unique as far as collections. There's a lot of stamp collectors.
Well, there's a whole lot to collecting stamps and coins, and I really don't know that much about coins, but the little that I do know, I know they collect them in sets. Mm-hmm. So they or some people collect for their birth year, their parents, or whatever. Yeah,
well, I remember when I started getting into collecting baseball cards, that was the one thing that I think you had told me, and a couple of people that we had. Are the first couple places where I went to buy baseball cards. So they told me, they said, why don't you pick a year, pick your birth year, for example, and kind of go from there, start your collection out from there, and that's kind of what I did. I still have, I think, 2 or 3 different box sets from Topps and a couple other card manufacturers from 1992 that I haven't opened, so they're still worth a lot, which is cool.
And, it's funny because right now, I don't know. I mean, people don't seem to be buying baseball cards that much. But then when I go to auction, I go to whatever, they buy them in the droves. But I mean, in the shop, they're not buying them.
Yeah. I don't know what that is, or if it's the phenomenon or whatever you would call it.
It's kind of the same thing with china, bone china. You can get a whole set of bone china. I mean, dirt cheap. $60. And of course, my whole thing is, well, millennials aren't using bone china. Well, you know what? If you're not using bone china, you're really missing out because that is some beautiful, beautiful artwork is what it is. But it's not as convenient because you can't throw it around in the dishwasher or whatever.
Well, I think that's nice though too. Like I like china that you have to take care of. I mean, we have our daily use china,
right.
and I like using that to eat off every day because it kind of, I don't know, makes it a little nicer. It makes you every dinner kind of feels like a little bit better,
a little special,
a little bit special, yeah.
And you want to have special time at the end of your day.
Yeah, I think that's when Catherine and I first got married, I really I started cooking for her, and that kind of just made it that little bit extra better.
Oh yeah,
or
well,
more.
It's like presentation,
right?
And it
right.
really shows that you care.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I think that's a lot of it. But I also don't buy that millennials aren't buying China.
That's ridiculous.
Don't.
Well, I think a lot of it, too, is, I mean, most of my friends that I know, they all have sets of China, but they've been given those China.
Right, they've been given the China.
They're not always out actively looking for new China.
Well, people don't, like in their wedding registries, they don't always, say, okay, yeah, I'm going to check, I want this particular bone china.
Right.
They'll say, yeah, I'd want the dishes from, nice dishes, but they're not, the fancy whatever. Mm-hmm. Because that's not part of a lot of people's lives. And, sitting down to a nicer meal. And, well, eating a hamburger on bone china is still just really a nice thing. But
yeah, that makes sense.
It just is. But
what is it, the Amish plates? Polish pottery. Is that bone china?
Mm-mm.
No, that's porcelain.
It's it's
or
not
clay.
Porcelain.
Clay.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
fired crockery, but
that's a funny word.
Yeah, well, no, I like the Polish pottery. I'm tired of the Polish pottery because I've had it.
You've been saying.
And
that.
you know what? If you have 3 sons and a husband and whatnot, Polish pottery is a great pottery because it's
durable.
A little bit, it's thicker,
durable
than some, and they're boys. They're going to bang crap around. So
yeah. What was it?
But I don't think I've lost really that many plates. And your dad has chipped more bowls in the last month than I had the whole time growing up.
We've only chipped 2 plates. But what was it? This comedian Louis C.K. said, the difference between having boys and having girls is if you have boys just mess things up. They just mess things up. Girls mess you up.
Yeah, well, I didn't have any girls, so I don't know. But
yeah, well, I mean,
but I will say, boys they mess stuff up. But like you've always been kind of more anally organized, I guess, than the others.
I've always been crazy organized.
Yeah, the younger one, my youngest, he's organized on certain things.
Well, that's the thing. He's very anal retentive on like with his camping gear or with his clothing ish. Depends on the clothes, but with his his desk or just anything else, he is a slob. A slob.
Well, I went in his room and his sleeping bag was laying out on the floor, and of course, now mind you, he doesn't live with us. Mm-hmm. Anymore. He's an adult, quote unquote, and he's in the
He's 20 years old now.
He's in the Air Force and whatnot. But I went in his bedroom and his sleeping bag was on the floor, and I'm like, "What is he? Why?" And so of course I pick it up, roll it up, and I put it in the closet. Come back, and next time he's home, it's on the floor. And I'm like, "Are you sleeping on the floor?" No, this is the proper way to store a sleeping bag. And I'm like,
I've never. I've been camping my whole life, and I don't think I've ever stored a sleeping bag that way.
Just rolled out on the floor. I said, well, we're going to have to find it. We're going to find an alternate place for this to happen.
Or maybe you're supposed to hang it up, not roll it out on the floor.
Well, no, he did that for a while.
Like hang it up in the closet?
Yeah, he did that, but I guess all the down or stuffing went to the bottom. I don't know. Picky.
Picky indeed.
Picky pants. He's a mess, but all my boys are sweethearts, so they are.
I don't know. I'm not very sweet.
You are too.
I'm pretty mean.
The more you say that, the less anybody believes it.
Yeah, well, but it's true though.
Yeah. Whatever.
Every time I'll scare Catherine or I'll start picking on her, and it kind of gets to the point where she's had enough. She'll kind of start to get a little mad. I'm like, I told you I was mean. I told you I was mean. That's
not mean. That's just annoying. There's a whole big difference.
Yeah.
And that is annoying.
Well.
And she's going to hit you one day. And
she hits me all the time.
Well, no, apparently not hard enough.
I would beg to differ. I would beg to differ.
I'll show her.
Okay. Oh man. Well, you've been getting it back to collections. So we kind of went off on a little rabbit trail there, but you've been getting into marbles recently, and I love hearing you talk about marbles because it really you're always so excited by it.
Well, they're fun.
Yeah,
they're fun, and nobody else out there don't collect marbles. But if you want to send me yours, I'm more than happy to take them.
Oh, absolutely. If you have any marbles you're trying to get rid of,
yeah, feel free because I might buy them from you.
Yeah,
I've got a problem, but no, I think they're a lot of fun because they're little tiny works of art.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Some of them are hand. There's just so many different kinds of marbles, all the way the vintage, all the way up even into the modern, are really, really pretty marbles.
Yeah.
So, and I'm having a good time like going through and sorting and trying to figure out what each of them are. Which, just FYI, if anybody out there does marbles and they want to make a book, that all I want in a book, the history is in every book that you buy on marbles. I want a picture of the marble. I want the name of the marble. The end.
Right.
Just say, this is a marble king. Tell me what it is and move on.
Well, maybe that's something you could do. You could itemize you're already kind of doing that with your marbles. Right.
Well, trying to. So we'll see.
I think it would be really neat if there was like an itemized list of the different marbles from the different manufacturers,
or even with just because that's another thing with marbles. It's like Peltier rainbows are really neat marbles, really neat ones, but there's 100 different varieties, 100 different colors, all of that. So but then they also have one for Marble King that is somewhat close to the Peltier. So, you really have to kind of study them to kind of figure out which, what's what.
I see.
But, and then even then, you probably, I'm probably still going to get it wrong, but that's
well,
okay.
that's the trial and error. You're learning what to look for and what everything is, and so on and so forth.
But a book that had kind of examples and said, okay, this is what a Peltier rainbow looks like, but all these other companies have one too, and here's the difference between them. That would be helpful.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I have fun with it. I enjoy doing it, but I enjoy doing kind of little anal retentive things anyway. So.
Yeah. Ever since I got that Sherlock Holmes pipe, I've been really admiring it, and there was another pipe that I went out to go get from a guy that you had sent me out to go grab from him, and I ended up meeting him way out at where 17 and 15 intersect at this ice cream place. And
the Dairy Queen?
Not the Dairy Queen.
Tasty Free.
No, it's like Moo Moo's ice cream or something like that.
They don't have a Brahms here in Virginia. So anybody from Oklahoma knows Brahms is the best ice cream.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Well, see, Brahms, they ship in. They have their farms within within a day of all of their stores.
Yeah.
So they have their fresh meat, fresh milk, all that good stuff.
Yep.
So it's all really actually fresh because their farms are all within a day's drive.
Yeah. They don't have any stores from more than a day's drive out
from their farms.
From Tuttle, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Tuttle, Oklahoma. You remember that girl from Nana's church, whose name was Summer?
Nope.
Okay. Probably shouldn't say her full name. But anyways, I had met her at church camp when we were 14, and she lived out in
Tuttle.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some friends that are out in Tuttle. It's a nice town. So it's a nice town. I like to. Nice community, too. I mean, there's some people that live in towns, and then there's some people that, are part of their community.
Right.
So, that's kind of nice. But, yeah, I enjoy the marbles. A lot of people are collecting pipes and stuff these days. There were 2 big lots on the auction the other day, but, I was like, no.
Yeah,
that's just popular right now.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is why they were going for so much. But they are really cool, and there's some really neat pipes. I think I'm really impressed with the one I got. I got basically it looks like a Sherlock Holmes pipe. It's like a really big wooden base pipe, and it looks like almost a ceramic door handle.
Yeah.
On the top, and then it's got the long stem that comes out. Not like peace pipe long, but. Still.
No, it looks like Sherlock Holmes. Go get a book of Sherlock Holmes, and on the front cover, there it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But yeah, pipes are really popular right now. But it's like everything. Singer sewing machines were really popular for a long time. Very expensive, and people are paying high dollar for them. And then it kind of went out of style. So, you could pick up a Singer sewing machine for $25, $50, maybe $100.
All right.
So now, but they're just not as popular. Now, 5-10 years from now, it'll swing back around.
That makes sense.
And it's the same, I think, with pretty much most everything. So like the baseball cards, they don't seem to be selling in the stores right now.
Yeah.
However,
but people are buying them up.
People are still buying them.
People are buying dealers and vendors and stuff like that are definitely still buying up baseball cards.
And it'll swing back around.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if I want to expand that collection or I kind of want to just keep it as is and wait till the market comes back around. Well, it's kind of
one of those things that, if you see something that's special or whatever, then buy it.
Yeah.
And kind of go from there, you know. And the other school of thought is if you find it and it's cheap, get it. Mm-hmm. So I have one really nice Singer sewing machine. The other one needs some work on it, but I only paid $25.
Wow. Well, those two I've at an auction at Quinn's up in
Falls
Church. I was picking up some furniture for you. And there was a lady there who had gotten a lot with 2 sewing machines, antique sewing machines. One's made by White, and the other was made by Kenmore.
Yeah.
And she didn't know what they were worth or how much to sell them for. And I think so she sold them both to me for $80.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh well, all right. Thank you.
Well, it's Sewing machines are kind of one of the appliance, I guess, that you have that, you need to know why you're buying it. Are you buying it because it's cute, it's pretty, or are
you buying it because you want to try and use it?
Right.
Because using an antique sewing machine and displaying an antique sewing machine are very different. I think that's a key distinction with a lot of collections. Is a lot of collectors will get items, then they'll display them or. And then I know a lot of collectors who get items to use them.
Right.
Like Kale with his knives. Yeah.
He uses them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And another little interesting tidbit, just FYI, if you go into antique malls, a lot of times you'll go into a booth and their prices will be astronomical.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, what the heck is this?
Like, why is this worth so much?
And a lot of people, though, they use those antique malls as kind of their own personal museum.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's one of the reasons antique malls are so interesting, is because a lot of vendors and a lot of people will get into it, and they'll basically display all of their things.
Yeah, they display all their things,
collection.
and they are technically for sale, but usually the price is well more than what it's worth.
Oh yeah.
So it's basically, okay, well, if you pay this overpriced price, then you can have it. But there's several people I know that that's what it is. It's not, they're just displaying it for their own personal museum, so they don't have to, pay for storage. Yeah,
basically, yeah.
So,
well, Dad and I were looking at our Dad came down to check out the new gear, and we're looking around, and it's looking a lot better down here.
Oh, down here? Well, yeah, I've moved stuff around today, and
yeah, we moved our location from our little computer room down into the basement.
Yep,
and
we're down in the basement.
Basement's where all of our or a lot of our inventory is, and we kind of set up shelves, and we have our Dad's little kill room back there for the refurbishing, and
and it's also a lovely night, 68 degrees down here.
It is a very nice temperature down here.
It is currently 89 outside and 1,000,000% humidity.
Which, for some reason, nobody but me likes. I really love it. I don't know what I do.
Well, bless your heart, sweet pea. Yeah, it's
I feel
too
blessed.
hot.
I feel blessed and highly favored.
There you go. Yeah, it's too hot outside, so pretty much during the summer, this is where I prefer to live. And and then it's funny because then I go up to the main part of the house, and it's like walking into a furnace, even though I know it's like 72, 74 degrees up there. It's not like it's, 100.
Well, but there is about a 10-degree difference.
There really is.
Yeah. That's most people's basement. I think basements are just that way because they're encased by, dirt.
Yeah. Well, and I've got on a sweater. So, when I come downstairs, I put on my sweater till I get warm enough, and then I take it off. But it's very handy. I do like the basement. So, a lot of people don't have basements, and in Oklahoma, you just rarely see a basement.
Well, I feel like it's because the dirt's so hard.
I don't know. I've heard all kinds of stuff why they don't have it. But, there's a lot of tornadoes. And I just really think even if you have hard dirt, with all the modern technology, you could dig out a basement. I just think you could.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I'm not a house engineer or whatever.
An architect?
Nope, not that either.
House engineer.
Well, you have to have some kind of engineer to do, like, the groundwork and see what's under it. And
it'd be a builder, contractor.
Yeah.
And an architect.
But there's a person, though, that will look at it and, like, test the dirt and see if there's water under it.
That's a geologist.
Yeah, that didn't sound right either. But, it does. I know geologies, but I don't know. I'm not a builder person.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's a whole different world.
But anyway, there are tons of really fun collections out there. Marbles, I really like marbles. The other thing I collect, and you don't find them very often, are butter molds.
Oh, yeah.
I really love my butter molds.
Butter molds are pretty great.
Yeah.
They're really, really neat. I know we talked about them before, but basically, and it was really cool finding out that that's kind of how all the different companies advertised their butter back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they were the ones that really started regulating, like, how much butter you got.
Yeah, how much you got from each individual sale.
Because everybody had different units of measurement, or, Joe Blow's scale over here says that it's 1 pound, while Bobby Sue over here says that it's, a little less than 1 pound. So the molds kind of just gave kind of more of a uniform shape, or, uniform that they could go, okay, I'm going to fill, it fills to this level, this is what it weighs.
Mm-hmm.
So, but those are for like the square ones, a rectangle. But the older ones look like plungers.
Yeah, they really do.
They look like plungers, and you would, and those were really not for commercial use so much.
You ever wonder? I guess if you ever wonder why everything was bathed, everybody's grandma bathed everything in butter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if you grew up at a time where they were using butter molds, every time you get... Because if you ever find a butter mold, I mean, it's like a half a pound of butter.
Well, there's all different sizes.
There's all different sizes,
yeah.
but a lot of the ones we found, they're huge. They're not a standard... They're not like a regular stick of butter. Like a stick of butter is a cup, right?
Half a cup.
I thought it was a full cup.
2 sticks is a cup.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you get your regular stick of butter is a half a cup, but a lot of these butter molds that we have that we found, I mean, it's probably 3-4 cups, if not.
I have no idea. I've never actually
put butter in them.
Yeah, I've never used it. But what they would do is you would have a butter, kind of like a ball of butter, and then you could put it on there, and it would, plunge it down. But you would make that stamp on top of your butter, so it was pretty. But they even have little tiny ones for like little pats of butter, and so you would,
I've seen it. I've seen it at fancy restaurants where they've had little pats of butter with imprints on them.
Yeah, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you'll find them nowadays for cookies.
Oh, right.
So they're like cookie stamps.
Oh, neat.
So that's
or
they have
cake
modern
stamps.
They have modern ones that are really for like sugar cookies, that kind of thing, or even like your shortbread cookies.
Oh,
where
yeah.
They have the little person stamped in
shortbread
there. Shortbread
cookies would be good.
Yeah. So, but
you had a chocolate chip cookie earlier, and it.
I don't think you could do it with chocolate chip cookies.
No. I was just saying you had a chocolate chip cookie earlier, and it made me want one.
Well, it wasn't a good one. It was like a store-bought something.
Oh my goodness! And this is still way off topic, but Catherine made a no-bake peanut butter cheesecake.
Really?
This week. About ate the whole thing already.
Wow. Yeah.
She was having a real stressful day that day, and when I got home, I saw all the baking material out, and I was like, "Oh, where is it?" I started looking around, and I found it in the fridge, and I pulled it out, and she was like, "No, it's not ready for another hour." I guess I had to sit in the fridge for a certain amount of time, and she was like, "It's just gonna come out of soup, it's gonna be gross." And of course, with it being no bake, the fridge was what hardened it.
Right.
So when she put it in there, it wasn't hard, and so she was getting upset about it, and it came out, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What are you talking about? This is awesome."
It's great.
Yeah. She's been talking about how they're kind of as far as, so my wife's a teacher, and the schools right now are obviously having a hard time, and they're all closed, and everybody's trying to plan on, or they're trying to plan on what's going to happen in the next year, and so on and so forth, and they're trying to get the proper training and and things like that. But it seems like they're waiting to the last minute to make these announcements and decide what to do, because at this point they don't know what each of the governor wants to do or the county's going to do, and so on and so forth. We're in Virginia, and every state's governor has given different orders depending on the state you're in. But for us,
and here it sucks because the governor will give one thing, but then every town has different rules.
Well, because Virginia is not actually a state. Virginia is a commonwealth. And so
when it's convenient.
Yeah, when it's convenient.
Whatever makes them the most money.
Yeah, well, that's commonwealth.
I know.
Wealth for the state. Or wealth for not the common.
Yeah, that's true. That's really good. That's a good one. Yeah. And that's true.
Wealth for the uncommon.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Paintings
it's hard.
Paintings are another one.
Paintings are very collectible.
That's a really cool collectible.
That's a whole nother can of worms. A lot of people, I love paintings. And, I don't think you can ever have too many paintings.
No. Well, also, you are also, related to Lonnie and Betty Rex.
Well, yeah.
And
my papa. Papa.
And they, we've talked about them before, but they don't have an inch of wall space anywhere. They were like the original Applebee's. Applebee's just has their walls and everything just covered in things. Well, their walls are covered in things because it's not all paintings either. It's just
it's all stuff,
all kinds of stuff.
Well, some people like to hang their memories on the wall, and that's kind of how they're, and that's how I am. I like, I like being able to walk through my house and see a picture or painting or whatever that reminds me of a time when we went on this trip or we did this or
right.
You don't have to go on a trip. I mean, it could be, this is when we went on a walk.
Right.
But wasn't that a fun day? I've got pictures from when Kale and Tab and I went up to Shenandoah, and we were out taking pictures and stuff. We got in the car to leave, and Mama Bear and baby bears were walking across the road. So, it was just, kind of, I like seeing that on the walls. It just kind of reminds you of where you came from and how much fun you've had. And,
right.
And there, there's a picture of you the day we went to, one of the days we were at the beach.
Or Virginia Beach, yeah.
It's just, it's nice. So.
I like in front of us, there was some paintings, pictures hung up. And when I was little, I fancied myself a daredevil. And I had just figured out how to make cinder block ramps, and for kids,
and all of you know this is not going to end well.
This is a great story, and it ends perfectly.
Yeah, at the hospital.
Well, if you guys don't know, making cinder block ramps is really easy, really fun. Highly recommend it. So what you do is you get a cinder block.
I hope no kids are listening to this, but if you are, I'm a mother, and I'm telling you no.
Anyways, definitely do this.
Don't.
But take a cinder block and you put either a piece of plywood or like a 2x4, preferably like a 4x4 at least, because you got to get, you want it wide enough that you can get your.
Long story short, because Aaron doesn't tell a short story.
Excuse me, this is my story. Thank you very little. So, anyways, you get your 4x4, you put it on the cinder block, and then bam, wham, thank you, ma'am, you got a ramp. So my uncle Chad was coming into town, and I just figured out how to make a cinder block ramp. And at the time, we lived in Omaha, Nebraska, and
Offutt Air Force Base.
Yeah, right next to Offutt Air Force Base. And our yard, our house was on a hill, and all of the houses on that hill, their driveways were basically cut out of the hill. So pretty much basically at every driveway, it's like some people had like retaining walls, but most people it was kind of like a little dip right before your driveway. So basically, it was a quarter pipe or a half pipe going down into your driveway. So what I would do is I would go up to the very top of my yard, and then which was of course downhill. And then you would hit the half pipe and would put the cinder block ramp at the bottom of the half pipe. So by the time you got to the half pipe, it would kind of give you a little jolt of power, and we could almost jump over the entire driveway. It was a lot of fun. Well, my uncle came into town, and I really felt like it was my duty to show off to my uncle. And so instead of going up to the top of my yard, I went all the way up to the top of my neighbor's yard because I was going to clear all the way across the driveway and then some. And so I got up to the top of my neighbor's yard, and I shoot down their half pipe, and it was a little bit more speed than I really thought that I would get. And I shot down our half pipe, and I still don't know how this happened to this day, but my front brake stopped at the base of the ramp, and I went face first into the concrete. And with that, after that happened,
his mother drove up in the driveway because I had been out helping a friend. Drove up, saw him flip, saw him scream. I scooped him up, and off we went to the ER.
Yeah,
and we were at the ER. They knew us.
They did know us. They were by almost a first name basis.
Oh, they did. They said, "Hey, Mrs. Rice, which son is it today?" And I said, "It'd be the older one." Like, wow, that's a goose egg. Yep.
Yeah, well, my forehead actually was protruded from my face about an inch.
That's a big goose egg.
Yeah, and there was a crack from the top of my face all the way down to the tip of my nose. and there's a picture of me where you can still see that crack, and that crack didn't go away until I was.
That was a long time.
It was like 12, 13, because I got the crack when I was like 6 or 7.
I don't know.
It was before Tavin was alive.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that wasn't fun.
It was fun for me, except for the hospital part.
So now you see why collecting paintings or pictures, you put them on the wall, everything has a story.
Yeah.
And that's for me, that's kind of what's nice is, everything in my house, there's something behind it.
Yeah, and I think that, I
don't like to go to whatever store and just pick up whatever's there because it matches or whatever. I like stuff that it tells a story, and I think for me anyway, it just makes a nice, comfortable home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that definitely speaks to antiques in general, and I think that we've kind of brushed on this idea in previous episodes, but antiques as a whole, they're interesting because they tell a story, because people that made them have stories. Oh no. My mother just showed me a meme, and it was a young man. He looked like a really, just a nice guy. He had a tattoo of, I think it was a black sun stemming from his nose and going around his face. Oh, sorry. He has multiple tattoos. There's a donkey in the middle of his forehead, an upside-down cross. He has a joint. He's got some tattoos on his fingers, and he looks to be about 16. Just he also has 2-inch gauges, which any of those things individually not against, but all together, it just doesn't present the most
Are those gauges?
Approachable. Oh, those gauges stink.
Well, yeah, okay. Dr. Pimple Popper, if you guys watch her, she had a girl come in that had those gauge things in, and of course the girl's like, I don't like these anymore. My ears are so yucky. Apparently, you only get one shot to fix those. Yeah,
you have to go to surgery.
Yeah.
And it's and it is true. There's only
Yeah, she said it's just there's only because you ruin the skin and stuff there. So said you only get like one shot to get those right. Otherwise, I mean, you look deformed anyway. So I don't know what the big deal is, but it would be even, I guess, wouldn't be as deformed as having big old floppy holes in your ears. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Because
they do not present very well.
Past a certain point, there's a point of no return for if you get gauges. Gauges can be cool and they can be neat, and there are some interesting gauges, and the culture behind it is pretty cool. But
what culture behind it?
The African tribes.
Yeah, but white kids getting gauges because of African tribes. They're not African.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't.
Apparently it doesn't mean anything. I'm just saying. They're not African. Okay. It's part of the African culture.
Yeah.
So, it's their culture.
Yeah.
You don't see a whole lot of, white people and black people running around with big old headdresses.
But I don't think
that's part of their culture.
I don't think that's restricted to. I don't think that's restricted to a race, and I don't think that means. I don't think that's a bad thing. You know what I mean? To
walk around with a headdress on?
To walk around with a headdress? Tribe? Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, but I'm still going to look at you weird.
Well, sure, but
because it's not part of your culture.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're not disgracing that culture. They're not hurting anybody.
Well, in that case, they would be, and there's a whole other big to-doodle with that. But yeah, that's the thing, though. It's not part of their. That's part of an African culture and African tribes, and they do that for, religious reasons, and they've got all these other things behind them.
And I will say, at this point, it is part of American culture.
Well, it is now, yeah, but that, you said that they like the history behind it. Well, the history behind it.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about personally. Every person that wears gauges, how they feel. I think.
They probably don't know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm not going to speak for each individual person that wears gauges. And if you wear gauges, awesome. No qualms about it at all. But I'm sure you know. I mean, obviously, you're going to know more about it than I do. I just have friends that have gauges and so on, and And there is, I guess, a point of no return where if you...
Well, according to Dr. Pimple Popper, you only get one shot to fix it.
Right. And I think it's around an inch or an inch and a half.
I have no idea.
But that's just in case you ever want to get them, because you seem so interested.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Nope. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Good to go.
But
I got pierced ears. That's all I need.
I've met people that collect different gauges, though. Speaking of, and earrings too. But a lot of people collect earrings, I think.
Well, yeah, I don't know as earrings would be necessarily a collection. That's more of an accessory that you have in abundance.
Yeah,
that's a whole other thing.
Well, I mean, we were talking about it earlier. You know, if you buy things that you enjoy for use, that's still a collection.
It's still an accessory that you may have abundant pairs.
But if you buy older cameras or you buy, old sewing machines and you use them...
Well, there's a lot of cameras that are actually for sale at our downtown shop. And this last week, it wasn't due to any person, but one of the windows blew out.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the heat. Well, I went to open up the shop the next day, and this man's out there taking pictures of, because it was boarded up and all that. And I guess he thought it was a riot, incident.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, no. I said it's a very old old building. Like,
yeah.
150, 200 years old building.
Right.
And, it just, stuff happens, and it got really hot, and the sun went on, and it just literally just shattered.
Yeah, basically the heat compressed it, and it expanded and compressed because of the fluctuating temperatures.
Yeah.
And so the whole entire window shattered. It's a huge window. I mean, it's like...
Yeah, it's a bit... It's
like
the storefront window.
7 by 10 foot window.
But anyway,
huge.
This man, he said he bought his camera there in the shop, and he said, which I think is a good point. He said, if you are looking to try out a hobby, particularly like photography,
mm-hmm.
and you do not want to spend $10,000, $5,000 or what
to get into it, because those kinds of hobbies, they can get
expensive really quick.
Yeah.
But he said, I always tell people, go to the antique shops and pick up a film camera, pick up an quote unquote antique camera, and start there.
Yeah.
And I do think that is really good advice, and I'm sure, there's other things, too, besides photography, but, if there's something that you're wanting...
Videography.
Right. But
we actually have some old video cameras at the Stafford booth.
Yeah, there's some down there.
Yeah.
But that's a good way to get into something, and get into it without spending a ton of money, because you may get into it and go, you know what, this is just not for me.
Right.
And then you're
not out $5,000.
Yeah, you're not out $5,000, and most of the time you can probably sell that somewhere to a collector that just collects, cameras.
Yeah, and if it's your passion and you don't have a lot of money, but you want to get really good at it, that's one way to do it, because a lot of those, especially with photography and videography and things like that, a lot of those older cameras and a lot of the older technology was more difficult and more precise to use.
Well, you had to really know what you were doing,
right?
And I've got some National Geographics around here somewhere, really old ones, and I'll have to find it. But one of them has the very first aerial photo taken ever in it, and it is really nice. But I love looking at those old National Geographics because there was no digital editing.
Yeah.
You couldn't
that's true.
You couldn't squirrel it away with something with a computer or fix this or fix that. These people had to know, what to do. They had to know what film to put in that camera, the lighting, the whole thing.
Everything. And the framing. I was talking to a gentleman at work
But that's a lot of talent.
Yeah, I was talking
But I do think that if you learn it that way with an older camera, if you go into photography and decide to go digital, I think that learning those skills prior to digital will only impress or enhance what you've got.
Yeah.
Enhance whatever it is you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely a lot better.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. It's okay. You've just been a little quiet for...
Aram's... Oop. Doodlebugs. Sorry.
Doodlebugs.
Well, I don't say bad words.
I know you don't.
I just said doodlebugs.
I know. That's why it made me chuckle. If you stick your tongue out of the microphone, it's not going to do anything back.
It does to you.
No.
Yeah.
Doesn't
See, well, I got a reaction. You're sitting here telling about it.
Oh, I was just warning you about the microphone and its feelings.
But anyway, I do think that if you learn stuff the old ways prior to technology, I do think that enhances the technology. I think you appreciate it. Prior to computers.
Prior to digital technology, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's digital crap. So
digital's not crap.
Before all of, you could sit there and do whatever on the computer. I do think that the techniques and the framing and the knowing
and the way that they edited photos back then was really cool too.
Yeah, but knowing the exposure to go in, all the things that you had to know prior to that, I think really does help you take a better picture. Mm-hmm. And even, if it is digital.
Absolutely. I think it would definitely help you to become a better photographer.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and you probably appreciate it.
Yeah, just knowing those things, because I think starting off difficult, and starting off at such a higher level of difficulty, and learning from that, you kind of can see basically how digital revolutionized photography and made it so much easier for the photographer and for the editor and so on and so forth.
Okay, now for the photographers out there that just heard my son say that, it's a whole war, and I understand this, and I mean, there's a war between film and digital people. Yeah. It's like barbecue. People are very, very particular on their barbecue. They have very strong opinions on barbecue.
Let me say a caveat real quick. I don't mean to diss film.
No, I know, but I don't think you knew that. But yeah, it's like that. Or it's like the Canon, Nikon,
Oh, yeah.
We're all going to fight. You know what? Both of those are excellent cameras. They really are. Yeah. They're both really great cameras. They pretty much have the same features or a little different here and there. And you buy what you want. The only thing I'll say about it is if you pick one or the other, doesn't make any difference really, but stick with it, because the camera doesn't cost as much as the lenses.
Yep.
So you might get a body of a camera, you might get 10 of them, but you want to be able to put the lenses on each of the ones that you buy.
Right.
Because the lenses are really expensive.
Yeah. Absolutely, but working backwards and going forwards is a really great way to kind of establish those skills within a hobby or within a passion and move forward with it. And I think that those kind of things spark collections, because I think through our passions and through things that we find interesting are...
Well, nostalgia is a lot of it, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of men who collect model cars.
Right.
And there's a lot of men that do that. A lot of men that collect... And when I say model cars, I mean, that goes from the models that are in the box to, actual replicas of it. All kinds of... I mean, there's a million different... It's like trains. There's all different kinds. But that's what they love, and it's nostalgic for them, and they might say, oh, I remember when I had this car, or, and that's a lot of it also. But the one thing I know that people, it kind of is coming up, are Fisher-Price toys.
Fisher-Price toys are pretty cool.
They are really awesome. So I had Fisher-Price toys when I was a kid and loved them. And for me, I go into the store or anywhere, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that. It's the Fisher-Price schoolhouse, or the house, or I just got the airport with the airplane and the helicopter, which I love. But that's a lot of it too, is people see things that they can relate to, and they collect them. So there's a lot of people that do. They collect Fisher-Price toys, and more power to you. I think they're great.
Oh, yeah. They're super, super cool. We recently got a couple of toys to put in the shop, and one that we found that we're pretty proud of is the Fisher-Price.
I just said that, the airport.
Oh, is that what you just said?
I just said that.
Oh, my goodness.
He isn't listening. Sorry. The airport with the airplane and the helicopter and all the little flight line people.
Ah, yes.
Yep. Very excited about it.
Yeah, it's pretty
In
neat.
the box.
In the box, too, yeah.
Yeah.
Box is not in the greatest shape.
Box isn't in the greatest shape, but at least it has it.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, it's pretty neat. But a lot of people do collect those. A lot of people
fishing lures.
Fishing lures. Oh,
that was one of the really. I've been trying to think this whole time. One of a lot of the cooler collections that I found in fishing lures. There was a gentleman who had fishing, like a whole collection of fly fishing lures. Something that he had made.
Yeah,
something he had found.
They're really pretty.
They're
lot of them are.
really cool.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys that make fly fishing lures too. That's a hobby.
Oh yeah.
A big hobby.
Yeah.
Kayla and I had gotten.
I got you a fly fishing lure kit.
Yep. Yeah, we both got one. I think we both made one lure with it.
Yeah, I didn't. I was hoping that they would catch on to that, and it would be hours and hours of fun for them sitting in the same spot, really concentrating on something, so I could, do some fun things like wash dishes or clothing. But it didn't work out that way.
Yeah, no, we're not really the sit still type.
I have a dream. I just keep dreaming.
It was cool though. It was they're really, really neat, very pretty, and I was really proud of the one I made. But yeah, it was very time consuming. Seems like a more of a.
But you know what? It gives you an appreciation.
Oh, absolutely.
Whenever you see some of them are pretty. They're really neat things to collect.
Very impressive, really.
Yeah.
And I think those are a great example of use of like a type of a collection where you
might use it, but I don't know
a lot. Well, some of them are quite expensive though.
Yeah, but if you're a fisherman, fishermen spend big bucks on their stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been recently starting going fishing a little more with friends of mine. And every time I go out, I'm realizing just how much I could spend on fishing gear every time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And, I'm like, well, it'd be really nice to have a boat and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no.
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 Well, let's not go that far.
What is it, a boat? What boat stands for?
Break out another 1,000.
Exactly. Every time a boat breaks down, there's at least $1,000 to fix it. And what do they say? The two greatest days in any boat owner's life is the day that they get it and the day that they sell it.
Yeah. We've never had a boat, and I'm fine with it. So.
Well, we have kayaks, but.
Yeah, I have kayaks.
So we have those two boats, but.
Well,
those are a little easier to maintain.
Yeah, a little bit easier.
Yeah, they're one solid piece. So.
Yeah. Of course, I had a good wreck and pretty much hit all the rocks in Rappahannock, so. Really happy that it's still in one piece.
Yeah, well, I'm happy you're still in one piece.
Well, you and me both.
My goodness gracious.
That wasn't fun.
That phone call was terrible.
Yeah, I called him because I was like, okay, I'm going to have Aram come get me.
Yeah.
But they made me get back in the water, and we went down to the city dock.
Yeah, so. She called her, and by the time she had called me, and I was up at, and...
His in-laws.
Yeah, I was up at my in-laws, and
anyway, I kind of scared him a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, well, I was like, I will come down, because what's funny is I had gone down to talk to our shop owner about an application idea that she had, and so I was talking with her, and we're down in Fredericksburg right now, and her parents are up in Woodbridge, which is about 25-30 minutes.
Depending on traffic. And I was on the motorcycle, so I made it in like 20 minutes, which was nice. And so when I got up there, I got the call, figured out what was going on, got her text messages that she had sent me, basically her legs bleeding in text messages. She's like, call me, and I was like, oh my goodness. So I call her back, and she answers the phone, and they were definitely dazed and scared. Yeah, you get trapped under a kayak. It kind of throws you a little bit.
Well, yeah, that's not necessarily what I would call a fun.
But let me tell you what, if you are going to kayak, those life jackets, they work.
Yeah.
Definitely work.
Mm-hmm.
So put your life jackets on.
Yeah.
Keep them on. They're hot. They're sticky. But they work. So.
Yeah. By the time I called her, she was already back up in the boat and
yeah.
Plugging away down towards the pull-out spot.
Yeah, gotta go down the dock.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was kind of trying to look around the room and see if I see something. You know, we kind of try to buy things that we think people that collect would want to buy.
Yeah.
I was trying to kind of look around. I know that
Lamps.
I got a lot of lamps.
We got a ton of lamps.
I don't know if anybody collects lamps, but if you need a lamp, I got a lamp. But Hallmark ornaments.
Hallmark ornaments, that's a good one.
Yeah, I know my mother has a bunch of Hallmark ornaments, and a lot of people collect those. And not just the ornaments, they collect a lot of the Hallmark, like Precious Moments, and they collect a lot of different figurines and things like that. So that's another big collection.
That makes sense.
Thing that people do collect. My kids actually look like little Precious Moments dolls when they were babies. They don't anymore, but they did.
Well.
They're so cute.
Well, that's sweet.
And sewing machines. That's another. See, I have my little antique sewing machine collection over there. And my little tiny miniature sewing machines. And I love those.
Yeah, those are neat. Those
They're
are less.
really
those
cute.
are less for use and more for show, especially the little teeny tiny ones.
Yeah.
I would say that you have the beginnings of an iron collection.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
The one that's up in the corner up there. We're looking at a couple right now, and she has basically. It looks like
it's a coal iron.
A coal iron. So you put coal in the iron itself,
right?
And it heats up the metal.
Well,
obviously, and
they're
it's got
brass.
a wooden handle.
They're brass, and it has like a little rooster on the top of it. So you kind of pull the rooster back, and it pops open. Oops. And you would put your coal in there, and it warms up the bottom, and then you iron.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was really cool.
Yeah, those are neat.
Yeah, it was really neat. I do have one down at the downtown shop, but I kept this one, and I'll keep it for a while until
So you're done with
until
it.
I'm done with it.
Done looking at it.
Some stuff I have to keep for a little while before I get rid of it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that one's pretty neat. So, but then I've been I was at an auction, and they had some irons from, I don't know, the 50s. And
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, like 1950-ish kind of things. And I was like, I'll just get these and see what. I'll tell you what, that is like and it works. It is the best iron I think I've ever had, ever. And so now anytime I'm out and I see an iron from that era, especially if it's, I just got one the other day at a flea market for $1, and it's in its original box. I don't think anybody had ever used it. And so I have that down here. But they get so hot that it actually irons your clothes. You don't have to stand there for an hour and a half and, go over the same spot. But the big pull for me is they don't turn off. There's no automatic shut-off, which I understand a lot of people forget or whatever. I don't forget because it's hooked into my power strip down here, which I have to turn on and off for lights. So,
right.
But when you're sewing, because I sew, that is the most annoying thing on God's green earth, is to be sewing something, then you got to get up and iron it, and then you go down. If you have to wait on that iron to heat up every single time, it takes forever.
Yeah.
So they're heavy. They're also heavy irons, and that makes it kind of nice. So I don't know, as I'm collecting the irons, I think I'm more in a hoarding situation with irons.
Yeah, I was being nice.
And there's a difference between collecting and hoarding. That's for sure. And with the irons, I'm kind of in a hoarder category.
Yeah, I would say you are pretty close to that.
But I do. I really have liked the irons. I didn't think that they would be that different than, the modern day irons that I have. But they really, really do seem to work much better.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard a noise. I don't know. I was doing some computer thing.
Yeah. Oh.
Lots of noises.
Let's not make noises.
I don't know. It must be online shopping.
That's not what I'm doing.
But I do like the irons. But there are people out there that do collect irons. And I know I went into one antique mall, and they had a gas iron. So you would hook, I don't know if your gas line or propane or something up to this iron, and then it would work. And I was like, I've never never seen that, kind of thinking it might be a little bit on the dangerous side. But, apparently they did at some point.
Evidently so.
But there's a lot of people that do collect irons.
Another cool collection I've seen is older tools.
Oh yeah,
especially old woodworking tools, because sometimes a lot of those tools themselves are beautiful. The wooden handles, like the redwood or the rosewood. And some of them have mahogany or oak handles.
Yeah, they're very pretty.
Especially, I'm speaking when I'm saying these things, I'm picturing planers. But planers are very pretty. One of the coolest pictures I ever took was we actually went to a festival. Was it? I want to say it was in It was Newport.
And up in Rhode Island?
Newport, Rhode Island. We went to a ship.
Just FYI, I lost my Cape Cod hat in the Rappahannock.
Yeah, I know. You told
Very
me.
Upset
We're gonna need to go get another one.
It's just a baseball cap, but I love that hat.
It was a good one. It was a really cute hat.
It was a cute hat.
But, anyways, we went to a sailing. It was like a boat building sailing.
Well, it was kind of like I don't know if any of you guys have been to Williamsburg or any of these colonial towns, but they'll have almost like an amusement park kind of thing.
But it's historic.
Yeah, but it's historic. So you'll pay whatever it is. So, pay your $20 and you go in. And it's like a whole historic town. So you walk around and you can go in the different shops and stuff and see, how they did things. So, in Williamsburg, you can go into the blacksmith shop and they'll do a whole demonstration on blacksmithing and what they used it for and that kind of thing. It's very educational. But the one we went to up there was a fishing village.
It was sailing.
Sailing,
yeah.
And so, they were having the big sail thing. Mm-hmm. So, everything up there was all in that flavor. So, fishing and sailing and whaling and all kinds of stuff, which, I'm from Oklahoma, so all that stuff's brand new to me.
Very foreign. And
it
was really cool.
Nice.
Very interesting. I loved the culture around
really
it.
Nice.
They also they explain the history of a lot of these yacht clubs.
Yeah.
And because a lot of the yacht clubs actually started out as life-saving groups.
Right.
They'd have basically like their own Coast Guard for that inlet or whatever, and then
because they didn't have lifeguards and all that stuff then.
Mm-hmm. So they would all get together from whatever town, and they would make that their hub to go and help people, and then eventually they started kicking people out, and that's what.
Yeah, then it became a yacht club and snooty.
But
before that,
there were some really, really interesting humble beginnings, and which was really cool. Really cool to learn about. Really cool to see. I'm always so excited by that kind of history.
But that really was very interesting.
It was very interesting.
If you ever get a chance to do any of that kind of stuff, I encourage you to do it because you'll always learn something. Mm-hmm. I think it really was fun. And every time, even when we lived in Newport News and we go up to Williamsburg and we had like a season pass for it, which was great because when you have a season pass, you can go up for a morning and do whatever and then come home and you don't feel like you wasted money. Mm-hmm. So, but everybody has a much better experience.
Yeah.
But every time we went, we learned something new.
Yeah.
And that was fun. And then, of course, they have seasonal things too, the Christmas and fall and spring and whatever. So there's seasonal
Williamsburg
events.
and Jamestown, I think. I mean, those are just great. I'll never forget when we took some of our cousins there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was
that wasn't fun.
That wasn't all that fun. But the venue itself in Williamsburg,
the venue is really nice.
They're fantastic.
But the one up there, it wasn't in Mystic.
No, Mystic was where we ate pizza and they had the drawbridge.
Right. It was up around there.
It was in Newport.
Was it in Newport?
Yeah, in Rhode Island.
But it was really neat.
It
really was. I would definitely go back up there and do that again.
Yeah. I could kind of see going up there living up there for a little while.
I don't know if I want to live up there, but I would definitely like to tour back up there.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't mind the north, but it is expensive and it's cold.
Way too expensive.
It's cold.
Yeah. I don't know. Every time even here is too expensive. The taxes, holy crap.
Yeah, well, I mean, the personal property tax is just ridiculous.
Well, it really is.
Ugh. Ugh, with a side of ugh.
Oh, yeah. It's not good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the North it's really pretty, and I think it's it's really a nice place to visit.
Mm-hmm. Well, the fall up in the North, especially
gorgeous.
In Connecticut, where I was living, beautiful.
Yeah, all the leaf peepers.
Little history on that. When I was in the Navy, and when I was in the Navy, I went submarines, and I was an IT on a submarine. And to be an IT on a submarine, or to be on a submarine in general, you have to go to submarine school, which is in Groton, Connecticut. Groton, Connecticut is a really not that great, but New London is really cool, and the foliage and all of the parks and things like that around there is actually really pretty, especially in the fall.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's very, very nice. I enjoy seeing it. I don't know as I'd want to live there because, well, number one, it's too expensive. Number two, it's cold.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is the cold for me.
It's cold, and there's just I like a little space. So, I'm living in New York City you might as well just put me in jail. That's kind of how I would feel.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see being there for a few months, like a year or two, but.
Yeah, but I mean, you're young, and so that would be fun for you, but no. And, oh, God, that subway. Ooh.
Yeah, that subway is hard.
Holy crap, and in the summertime, no. I've smelled outhouses that smell better than that subway. I really have. That's not even exaggerating. It stinks.
Also, people from New York, we are not trashing your city.
Well, no, we're not. We're not.
It is a really cool city.
Lysol, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Bleach, we like it.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. That would be good.
Yeah. I think that they definitely could do a better job cleaning the.
Yeah, I will say, DC, and I'm not really a fan of any city, but DC's metro, very clean.
Some of them.
Well, comparatively,
yes.
Compared to a lot of them, they're like operating rooms compared to a lot of them. But
I don't know about that. I don't know if I go that far.
But they are very clean, and I think one of the biggest thing is because we don't allow food. You don't eat on the subway.
Oh yeah,
and it's funny because we've got so many tourists that come to DC and stuff, and I know I was going to the doctor one day up in Bethesda, and I was on the metro, and some tourist got on there, and they pulled out a sandwich or something to eat, and there was another local there, and they're like, you need to put that up. We don't eat on our subway. We don't encourage the
There's
rats.
no subway on this subway.
We don't eat on... You wait till you get to where you're going and eat. Yeah. I was like, okay, there you go. So... They will let you know if you're eating on the metro that
this is
not
true.
Appreciated.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I do think that's good.
Don't need to be afraid to talk to people and tell them.
Yeah. Well, another little tip if you do come to D.C. and you're on the escalator, stay to
the right. Stay to the right. I want to say
just
that
like
a couple times. Please stay to the right
on the escalator.
On the escalator and on the highway.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but even if you're going 10 over, please stay to the right. If you can, stay to the right.
Yeah.
If there is no one in the right lane, stay to the right.
Okay, well, let's go back to the escalator, and we'll not escalate your driving instructions.
Oh, my goodness. On that note, we
the locals will run you over, though.
They will, yeah, because
they actually work there, and they're trying to get somewhere.
Because they're trying to get to work. They're trying to run up the escalator. So if you're on DC, if you're running or walking up the escalator, you go up the left. If you are standing, then you are on the right.
Yep. And they will run you over.
Yeah, they will. They have no qualms about it. They'll push you out of the way too. I mean, a lot of people say "excuse me," but
yeah, well, they usually do.
But yeah, they will definitely put you out of the way.
Yeah.
But on that note. It's getting to be about that time.
Is it?
Yeah, we kind of.
When are we going to do our next one? I'm getting ready to go to Oklahoma and see my mommy and Angie. see my mommy and my Angie.
Yeah, I think actually next weekend, Kat and I are talking about buying a ticket to come to Cameron's graduation.
Oh, you better hurry up.
Yeah, so...
Because it's next weekend.
I know.
So I guess if Aaron comes down, we can do one from Oklahoma.
Yeah, we sure can.
We could do that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check a bag or something.
Oh, my goodness. Aaron will have to check a bag. Everybody say a prayer for him. My youngest son, bless his heart, he did boot camp there in San Antonio, and then he went to Florida to do part of his training, and they lost his bag. And I mean lost his bags.
Oh, yeah, that was
terrible. And it was like all of his uniforms, like everything was gone except just the backpack that he had.
And for those of you who don't know, that's a big financial loss.
Big financial loss. And especially for an 18-year-old kid.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's, there's several thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and those of you that are in the military know that if you are an E3 or below and you come up to the person who's in charge of you, whether it be an LPO or, whoever, and you say, hey, they lost my uniforms on the plane, they're not going to be understanding.
They're not that understanding. But they did eventually, after a good week or two, they finally came up with the bag, because of course you have to file claims and do all this stuff. So, but anyway, I forgot. I went and picked him up at the airport. He flew into Oklahoma City when my father was passing on to say goodbye to him, and I mean he flew into Oklahoma City, and I went to pick him up, and I asked him. I said, "Honey, do we need to wait for your checked bag?" He just looked at me and goes, "I have trust issues, Mom." Okay.
Well, I
don't blame him, but
I wouldn't blame him either.
It was just so funny the way he said it. I have trust issues, Mom.
By the way, I don't know if that impression was the greatest. He doesn't have that much of an inflection.
Whatever. He does to me.
Uh-huh. Well, but anyways, guys, thanks so much for listening to us ramble a little bit and talk about collections.
And again, if you've got really awesome collections, post it.
Please
let us see, because
Please join our Patreon and comment.
I'm very
comment
interested.
on our feed with all of your different collections, and if enough people do, then we will definitely bring it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll do a segment and we'll talk about you guys' collections. How cool they are.
And I'll see what I have. Maybe I've got something I can add to your collection.
Yeah.
You never know. I got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, if you guys sign up and you go onto our patreon.com/hipandhumble, you guys have different collections and things like that. If you submit those, we'll definitely look at those collections, and we'll see if we have things that we could add to your collections and send to you guys. We're on Etsy and all those good things, so we'll definitely work with you. And
if you're in Fredericksburg, Virginia, Stafford, Virginia, or Oklahoma City, feel free to come by.
Make sure and come by.
We have changing seasons there in Oklahoma City at the rink there. And then we have Cosner's Corner there in Stafford.
We have Boswell's Corner there in Stafford, right off of Jefferson Davis Parkway or Route 1.
And we have Oldies But Goodies.
Oldies But Goodies.
In downtown Fredericksburg.
918 Caroline Street.
918 Caroline Street. Oldies But Goodies. It's a great shop. Yeah. We've got 2 floors and really some interesting stuff.
Really, really cool stuff.
Yeah. All the vendors in there really are very different from each other, so
there's a really great blend.
Absolutely,
yeah. Good
really
spread, if you will.
Yeah.
But anyways,
if there are any marbles, I have them.
This is true. We have all the marbles. But thank you guys so much for listening to us and spending time with us and supporting us.
Absolutely.
And we couldn't do this without you guys. We hope you guys are all staying safe and getting through this all and loving one another.
In all this very troubling time.
In all these troubling times, we hope everyone is has people that they have around them that are loving them.
And I hope we've kind of brought a little smile to your face.
Yeah.
And maybe a little respite from all of the turmoil.
Yeah. So, thanks, guys, so much. Make sure and stay hip.
And humble.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Do you enjoy stirring and realistic fiction? Check out author and veteran Paul Holbert's work at literaryvet.net for intriguing books that will keep you turning pages. Paul uses his experiences to create novels that are true to life, such as his latest, Term Limits, a political crime thriller fitting for today's time and events. Go to literaryvet.net, a read you won't want to miss.
You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio Channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.